Hello Patreon people, it's Myles here, and a few days ago I asked you lovely fine Patreon people if you've got any questions for me, and 20 of you, turns out, have got a few questions for me. So I haven't seen these yet, and I'm going to read them off one by one. My reading, as you all know, is absolutely terrible, so I'll try my best, sorry about that, and I'll try my best to also answer your questions. So the first question is, I see a lot of squeaky chair still. I see a lot of the anti-modern, soft blah 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 disinfo of people like Vandana Shiva and the don't know what club that is, leverage against GMOs and the pesticides like glyphosate, is also leveraging against nuclear power. What is your stance on nuclear power? Could there be a future video debunking some of the crazy conspiracy theories and scaremongering around nuclear power? Probably not. Now, I did, let's go back a second. I'm actually very pro nuclear power. I think it's a great energy source and it is a great stopgap between what we currently have and potentially something awesome in the future. I don't know, warp drive or whatever. I think it's a good source of energy, but that's not to say that it doesn't have its problems. And I think the main problem for me regarding nuclear power is its connection to nuclear weapons, which is something that I would have to cover if I covered into the subject. But I did do a few videos back in the day about nuclear power, specifically about the Fukushima reactors and a response to people who just said, "Oh my God, these things are terrible. We need to stop it." But after making that video, I realized that I don't really have the brain capacity to really cover that subject. It's really far out of my area of expertise, and so I don't think I'm the best person to cover it. Maybe some of the more crazy things I could do, but for now, no, sorry, nuclear power isn't on the radar. I've got so many videos to make, by the way. I need to finish so many videos. I need to make some responses. I can't wait to finish the bloody Nazi videos because I'm getting bored. I'm getting sick of those. Anyway, moving on. Since it's spooky season, it's just gone, it's November now. What's your favorite urban legend or scary folklore tale? My favorite conspiracy spooky legend is the Polybius, whatever, the one about the video arcade in the 70s where the American government was using it to test drugs on kids. I think that would be a great spooky story. That'd make for a great movie. I've always found that really fascinating. There's always one that I was like, oh, how cool would it be if that was true? Well, not cool, it'd be terrifying, but it'd be interesting, I think. Okay. Do you know a good way of rationalizing with people who have non-rational views? I work with educated people who believe the government is exaggerating the COVID risk. God, I'm so sick of COVID. We're now under lockdown again in England. Exaggerated COVID risk is full New World Order, really struggling with how to operate, how to penetrate that bubble they're in. Okay, the best way I've found, this is just personal advice here, I think, is to ask them questions. Get them to question their own beliefs. Oh, you think COVID's not that bad? Okay, could you tell me how many people have passed away to it in the last so many days? How many of those have X, Y, and Z problems with them? What kind of response would you want to something that is potentially as deadly as COVID? Just do that, kind of probe them a bit more and get them to think through their own views on the matter. I think is the best way of doing it. I've done this before with people who don't believe that people who believe GMOs is the worst thing ever, people who don't want to get their kids vaccinated, and you slowly work their way through and you get them to think it through, and then eventually sometimes they see things for what they are. I'm terrible at giving advice. Sorry about this, internet. I'm really terrible. My phone's turned off. Okay. Next one. I have a question. Well, you've come to the right place for a question. What kind of monster would play on people's OCD by ending a podcast on episode 198 when 200 was right around the corner? Yeah, so he's referring here to the League of Nerds podcast, which ended on episode 198 instead of 200. So we were, this is a few years ago now. And by the way, the League of Nerds, we're no longer paying for hosting for that anymore. So that, in the next few days, is going to be going down. It'll still be on YouTube, not that anyone watches it on there, but you won't be able to download the podcasts anymore because it's not economically viable. It never was, but it was a good way of talking to people. I just loved it as a hobby, but it was very much sapping money out of the other stuff. So basically I was using my regular channel to fund the League of Nerds, and I just don't think it's worth it anymore. But I think we're just terrible people. It came to the point where we just didn't have time to do it. Things were ramping up with my work, And it did take a lot of time. We were producing one of these every single week. We had to organize guests. We had to research, a fair chunk of stuff. We got into a good swing, but it just was always really quite difficult to do. And I just couldn't, I just didn't have the time anymore. So we stopped it. And sorry for ending too shy. Okay, you're back again. Oh, wait, no, you're not. That's someone else. Sorry. Hi. Not a real question, but... Unwell, would you consider doing a video on... I don't know who that is. She's an anti-vaxxer, COVID-5... Oh, camera just went a bit funny there. Anti-5G hater, etc. She says she's a nurse. Oh, I think I've seen a video about her. Yeah. Anyway, apparently she's got loads of followers. It might be interesting. Lol, coming from you and your amazing research abilities. Oh, thank you. It'd be fun, and thanks for your great content. Oh, thank you, Susan. Yeah, so... If it's a person I know you're talking about, she had like a whiteboard behind her and she was saying all kinds of nonsense about COVID. It'd be an interesting one, I think. I might think about that one. Like I said before, I've got loads of stuff on the horizon that I really should finish, but I you know what, I might look into that one. That's a good idea. Okay, as you can guess from my message, I adore history. What is the period or event you find the most interesting? It's the Cold War. My knowledge on it is fairly poor. It's not very good, but I'm trying to learn more and more and more. I just find it really fascinating. I can't even put it into words why I do. There's no reason. I just find it interesting. I think it might be because it was going on in my lifetime. So I'm obviously born in '85. I'm an old man now. I'm 35. I never thought I'd get this old. 35-year-old man makes YouTube videos. Oh my god, what am I doing with my life? But yeah, it's the Cold War. So I loved when I went to Berlin. Been to Germany a few times. Been to Vietnam, Cambodia, America, and all the rest of it. I just find it really, really fascinating. It's really quite scary in a dark time in history that was in my lifetime. Yeah, I just find it really cool. God, I'm not very good at these questions, am I? Have you ever taken an interest in why people believe magic and the occult? Feels like there's a big similarity between those that might believe in magic healing powers of salty cabbage water and those that believe in ritual magic can have real-world effects. I don't know. That's something I've never really thought of before. I'm not sure how to respond to that. I don't know. I've not really thought about it. Sorry, I might have to get back to you on that one. Sorry about that. What a terrible Q&A this is already. It's already terrible. I know it is. Have you ever taken an interest in why people... I've already read that one. I'm sorry. Yeah. How do you get into swimming into rivers, lakes, etc.? And how do you know which ones are safe to swim in? Do you not get worried about what might be lurking in the depths of the dark water, waiting for the right moment to reach up for its next meal? You thought you were just pondering through bushes against the foot, blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Okay, right. So for people who don't know, over this summer especially, my camera is freaking out. There we go. Sorry, I thought it was doing something weird. It was kind of going all over the place. Okay, back onto the questions. For those who don't know, I have spent... Well, I'm an alright swimmer, to the point where my best mate says I can't be a cool animal like an otter or something. He calls me like a water vole, which is nice. But no, I can swim fairly well, and I can swim underwater. I think a lot better than I can swim on top, which is unusual. I always could, even as a kid. And so I love swimming. And I think cold water swimming, I really started just over a year ago, where I had a bet with this guy and this girl from work who could last the longest in cold water in the middle of November. And I think we were in there for 17 minutes before eventually they were like, yeah, we need to get out. We can't feel anything. And I was like, yeah, because I made it all about... He was in QC, I was development. I was like, yeah, development for the win, because we worked together at the time. But no, I started doing that, and then I asked if he wanted to do the Redcar dip, which is... Redcar is a place on the coast of Teesside, and on Boxing Day, a load of people go into the water and just dive in, and there's a huge crowd. Oh my God, it was cold. So I was out there in nothing but the shortest of short shorts, about to jump in this water, and it took a good 20 minutes, half an hour for us to get to the water. And by which point I couldn't feel my feet because it was so cold. So we jumped in, all went under, freezing cold. And I left all my kit at like a kind of a place called the Hub, which was at the top. I just left my bag there to pick it up. And what was really annoying was the shuffle. All these people who came to see people jump in the water, they were just all there and they were taking forever to get up and they just wouldn't let me past. So I was there like freezing my knackers off. And I think it took about 15-20 minutes for me to get my clothes on, and I remember it being cold. And I ended up doing it again. I went to a place called Stays for New Year's Eve, and it turns out coincidentally the guy I met in the pub actually did the dip with me the day before. And we talked to him. I talked to him even though I didn't realize it was him. And so one thing led to another, and he's like, "I bet you won't jump in there at midnight." And I was like, "All right." So I ran to the sea with him in front of 200-300 people, with my mum just being like, "What are you doing? It's an embarrassment. Can't take you anywhere." And yeah, I keep doing it. So this summer especially, because with nothing else to do, I've just been jumping in the Tees, which may not be the best of ideas because it's not the cleanest of rivers. But no, I've really enjoyed it. In fact, I've bet my mate that I could do it again, because again, the cold water doesn't bother me. But no, I'm sure I'll be fine. Marmite, yay or nay? Marmite, very much yay. I love Marmite. I'm a big fan of it. I had someone cook me spaghetti bolognese last week with Marmite in, and it was fantastic. It was really good. Okay, moving along. Okay, I've got 2 questions. Nope, sorry, you only have 1, I'm afraid. No, I'm kidding. Give you 2. Do you think there's ever going to be a shift in public opinion about vaccines and medical science because of this pandemic, or will it just cause more people to go and seek alternative medicines and other quackery? I think it's going to go towards science and vaccines. I think a lot of people are, well, maybe it's just the kind of groups of people I hang around with, but I think it's definitely going to push people towards, there's something to science. People are trying to help you. But there's obviously there's good skepticism there. Like, is it okay to have a vaccine that's been rushed so much, or not rushed? That's not the right word, but it just came out so fast. Yada yada yada. So it's an interesting time we're living in. But I think mainly, I think this is going to push people towards, doctors aren't trying to kill you all the time. Second, what more about your future content? I've been a long time sub ever since the days when you were part of the YouTube EDU Guru program. I've still got a poster of that on my wall. So this is when I was shipped out to America for a few days, and I met Hank Green and Smarter Everyday and all the rest of them. And oh god, that was a long time ago. I was a different person back then. So making videos with Alex. Alex Danis she's a smart nerd, like intimidatingly smart. So I'm curious to know if you're ever going to have any more of those kinds of videos where you do more science explainers, hands-on experiments. I don't know, after going through 2020, I need a little more content that paints humanity in a better light. The truth is probably not. My schedules and my free time has really changed since I've become a real adult with a real job. Or saying that, I'm soon going to be between jobs. Yes, I'm moving from Black Mesa to Wayland. No, okay, obviously not. But I just don't have the time. I work it's a lot more intense now. So when I come home, I'm a bit knackered, and I'm trying to not be a fat bastard so much anymore. So I used to go to the gym, but now I've taken up boxing of all things, which hurts. Luckily, I've had no black eyes recently, but I've got a load of bruises on me at the moment. This side of me is just covered in lovely yellow bruises. So I don't really have the time to organise this kind of thing. And plus, my content has evolved since then. The home experiments and the science things I used to do outside, they were fun, but they were quite costly, and people didn't really like them. That's the thing. They're very, very low down on how many views they get. And I much prefer to make videos where I go into depth, into stuff where I really sink my teeth in and go after something that a lot of people don't know. But then saying that, I don't know anymore. I listened to a bit of a podcast from the Nazis again, and they pointed out in one of my videos where I said don't drink turpentine. They were like, wow, did you have to go to school for that? And I thought to myself, you know what, that's a really good point. Is my content just boring and dull? And I'm looking back and I'm thinking maybe a fair bit of it is. I don't know. I've almost been on YouTube 10 years now, and it's kind of feeling like, am I just beating a dead horse here? Is what I'm doing useful? I don't know. I don't know, basically is the answer to that question. But no, I'm not going to do any crossovers, that guy with the glasses style, and probably no sciencey videos in the future with like hands-on kind of stuff. Sorry about that. Okay, I joined relatively recently. Maybe you've already answered this, but what kind of chemistry do you do? Inorganic, organic, yada yada yada, maybe food science. I'm in zoology myself, by the way, and I'm a former chemistry teacher. Nice one. So I am an industrial organic chemist. So yeah, organic, curly arrows all the way. But I was for a small amount of time a biochemist, where I worked with RNA and bugs and what have you. But no, organic, well, it's industrial chemistry basically is what I do. I make stuff on small scale, work on large scale, and I try and figure out why it doesn't work every now and again. And I also make basically a lot of times when you go into chemical places, they don't have like setup kit for specific things. They'll have like a module planned, which they can move things around and they can adapt it, and that means that maybe that the hardware isn't really the best for what you want it to do, and it's kind of my job to make that work and to do all other things. Yeah, there's a lot that I do, but yeah, I'm organic. I love me a little bit of synthesis. I do. Have you ever read The Skeptic's Guide to Universe? Nope. Sorry. Or Trick or Treatment. Oh yeah, no, I have read that. That's Simon Singh. I read that like 7 years ago. And if yes, what's your take on them? I'm sorry, Dennis. I can't remember. I've got it downstairs and I remember thinking it was a good book, but I can't remember a thing about it. That's not good. My memory's going in my old age. 35 now, like I said, I'm getting old. Oh, you got another cheeky 2 questions. Is there or is there going to be a video of you showing or explaining the process of how you actually research topics? Ah, all right. Like a video guide on how to sort out the bad science from the good science to study. Okay, I can show you something. So I'm in the middle of doing something at the moment. Turn around on my desk. And what I do is I've got me a little book. And really it starts off by looking at the content that I want to refute and putting a load of time codes on it. So at the moment, I am doing Gay Frogs 2. So essentially I've got all the time codes of everything that I find is interesting, and then after I do that, I kind of pull it into a bit of a narrative. How am I going to... Oh, there's a page missing there. What's happened there? I put it into like a bit of a narrative. How am I going to storyboard this? How am I going to make it really interesting? And how am I going to make sure that I cover the main things so I'm not accused of just cherry picking? And then after I do that, I write a blog post. I do struggle a wee bit with, as anyone who's followed me on Twitter, with reading and writing. It's not really my best thing. And then I send that out to my mate who, whoa, windy, who checks it for me, make sure it's all grammatically correct and spelled correct, and that I'm not going over the top, because I do occasionally have a bit of a temper and I can be quite vicious, and sometimes sometimes I need someone to tell me, you need to calm it down here, Myles. You're going to wreck all your points by calling this person a numpty. So that's great. Comes back to me. I then go through it one more time to make sure that it's all okay. For example, I had years ago, I had someone check it, and I had the line, because bow ties are cool, which is a reference from Doctor Who. And this bloke changed it to, because bow ties are fashionable. I was like, no, no, you've changed what it means. And then after that, I get the text file and then I start coloring it in. So I'll be like, okay, this bit needs to be on camera. This bit is off camera. This bit is doing X, Y, and Z. Go downstairs in my front room, set up my ring light and everything because I think it's fancy. And then I just talk those bits, turn the camera off, and then I talk all the voiceover things so the audio kind of sounds similar. And then I take it upstairs to here to my very old iMac, which as soon as Apple actually make a new proper iMac that looks different, I'm going to buy one. Because I don't know what, their old model just looks shit, and I think I'm that vain that I need something that looks good. But this thing chugs away. It's really bad. I think it took 20 minutes to turn on the other day, so I really could do with another one. Especially if I'm going to continue to make YouTube videos. And yeah, and then I edit away for days at a time, and then I publish it to you lovely fine people. It takes a long time to make a video. Yep. Okay, next one, Alan. Any plans for any crossover episodes with Jeff Holiday? I know he's done voiceovers on your videos, but dual response to COVID scaremongering might be fun and educational. Yeah, maybe. Like I quite like Jeff Holiday. He's quite an alright guy. He's always been lovely to me. He's a nice guy. And maybe I would never say no, but like before, I think with timetables, I literally do this in my spare time when I'm free. The only reason I'm doing this now is because my mate cancelled on me. We were meant to go for a walk, and that's not happening now, because that's what you do in 2020. You just walk everywhere. Bloody hell. Yeah, so instead I'm going to do some internet work and tidy my house because it's a bit of a mess. Any chance of a League of Nerds podcast reunion? Winky face. No. No, I think that ship has sailed. I mean, don't get me wrong. No, don't get me wrong. Me and James are still fantastic. Although I don't talk to him that much anymore. Which apologies, James. You're a legend. I should probably be a better friend to you. But no, that ship has sailed. So I don't think we're going to get another League of Nerds again, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Dylan, what's your favorite James Randi moment? Have you ever had an interesting or illusion or magic? Blah 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 blah. Okay. I don't know James Randi that well. His stuff. I I think a lot of people have this perception of me that I'm constantly like going around one eyebrow up, thinking, "Ooh, let me be skeptical," and loving like skeptical books and all the rest of it. And the truth is, I like to sit down and just whirl my brain watching cat videos online, or I don't know, just wasting my time with my friends down the pub back when we could do that. So I don't spend a lot of time watching these kind of things. In fact, my YouTube subscriptions is not really skeptical, sciencey based stuff. It's movie reviews or just weird stuff that I find really interesting. So yeah, I don't really know. I think if I were to pick one though, the ones I know, I liked him when he was going after Wolfgang. What was it, Wolfgang Helbrig? Yeah, that guy who with the Sandy Hook conspiracy thing with the wands thing. That I thought was really quite good, and where he's shown how to. He did like a magic trick on a national TV. I thought those ones are good, but yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know him that well. I think he's more of an American celebrity than a UK one, so maybe that's why. But that's my excuse anyway. Oh my goodness! Any thoughts on Extinct Rebellion? I appreciate the ideas, but the handbook, "This Is Not a Drill," has 4 words written by Vandana Shiva. I want to view things negatively. If you do a YouTube like book review on the topic, it would be fine if I cite your videos on her. Okay. Ooh, so this is I'm just gonna say I'm not the biggest fan of Extinct Rebellion. And it's not because of their message. I am like 100% on board with it. I realize I give the impression out in my videos because I mostly talk about industry stuff. I talk about like industrial farming, and I talk about vaccines, and I give off this vibe of being like a very industry kind of minded person, and I'm not. I am the biggest fucking hippie out there. I don't want to see like huge swathes of the world destroyed for humans. I don't want to see horrible things happening to animals. I am very much on board with like climate change is certainly happening and we need to stop that shit or slow it down pretty much now. But I really have an issue with Extinct Rebellion, and that is because I don't think they really stop to see the optics on things that they are doing, like a small group of them. And I think that from people who I know who've taken part in protesting and what have you, from their posts on Facebook and from interacting with them, it's just completely self-serving. They go in like, "Oh yeah, we're helping, we're doing this." I'm like, oh, what the fuck? You're dressing up like in a monkey costume and going to a bank and harassing front of house staff. That's something that happened, and I was just like, what are you fucking doing, you muppet? That just looks like you're an idiot. The guys who were on the tube train back in London a few months back, what were they thinking? We had recently people come outside Attenborough's door. This 90-plus man who is like who's out there telling people, climate change is happening. We have to fucking do something. And he's getting these people coming to his house, even though he's shielding from COVID, and giving him like an olive plant and saying like, "Oh no, do you know what his crime was? His crime was saying, don't break the law when doing this because you're looking bad. You're alienating the general public," which is what I think that they are doing. And they did that, which I just couldn't. I just think they need someone to sit down and think the optics on this just look terrible. You need to stop doing this. But having said that, that's only a small minority of them, by the way. I totally on board with their message. I think, although I'm not a fan of Vandal Shiva, I'm not a fan of maybe how some people in the organisation, some people who affiliate themselves with it, how they want to get over these very serious, very real problems. I think sometimes some of the stuff they come up with is absolute juvenile. So yeah, I think I've lost a few subscribers there. So talking about optics, I know just from saying that probably a lot of people won't agree with me on that, and that's totally fine. But I think it's important to be honest with you guys. Right. After learning about false GMO danger claims and a lot about Roundup, I am antagonized by the term organic on everything. Would you ever do a video on peeling what the term really means to both in the UK and the US? I guess small-scale local source produce could be a good thing in some situations as it provides jobs or perhaps biodiversity in our food, but is this happening? Oh my goodness, that's quite a big one. Organic means different things to different people, and it's, well, to me, I'm an organic chemist. It means I deal with chemistry that is carbon containing. So I have a very specific meaning of it for that, but organic on food can mean a lot of things. You can have organic food that has pesticides on it. You can have organic food that has never seen pesticide, that is hand grown by the naked nuns of Papua New Guinea, and that would be organic. It's just a nothing term now, because it's awful when you think about it. It's like the free-ranged. Free-ranged eggs means different things depending on where you go, and I think that's a really dodgy thing. You have like GMO-free, which doesn't mean what you think it means. It's all horrible marketing, and I think it's really pretty nasty. It might be something I could talk about, because I'd have to find out different ones of it. But yeah, it's something that winds me up, because it's happened to me where I bought something and I thought it was like ethically sourced, and then you look a bit deeper and it turns out, oh no, it just means that, I don't know, children only get whipped 4 times when they're making your food. What am I talking about? Yeah, I could do that. I'm mumble. I tend to go off on one. Whatever happened to Nega Myles? Oh my god, that's embarrassing. So, back when I was younger, when I was a wee nipper on the old YouTubes, I had like an anti-character that was me with black eyes and dark hair and a tie, and essentially it was just correcting all my stuff. And I have deleted a few of those videos because my mates have found them and they are pure cringe. It was very that guy with the glasses, and they're awful, and he is never coming back because I am in my mid-30s and that is a juvenile stupid thing to do. But I will make correction videos. I've made a few mistakes so far and you lovely people have pointed them out. Probably not enough to make a video, but not far off. But no, that character is dead. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, can you imagine if I came back with black eyes and a black beard and all the rest of it? It'd just be fucking weird, wouldn't it? No, never happening. I absolutely suck at chemistry. I'm never going to be a chemist, but I prefer to know more than if there was a guy with a hazmat on the bottle, don't touch it. What would you consider to be the best chemistry book for a layperson? Oh, okay, right, okay. That's the last question, by the way. That's a difficult one. Oh god. Phone's going off. Wow. So I was actually having this discussion with hazards the other day, and how about STSs they're not legally binding, and how you can have different things from different companies and how they treat it certain ways from ones. And so that's a really hard one to do, because and she was talking about how like the globalized harmonic yarmalarchy isn't globalized and isn't harmonic. And yeah, I'm mumbling and going off one. The truth is, there's not a quick fix for this. You need to really sit down. You need to really read things to really understand the properties of certain compounds and the properties of certain groups and be able to see things and potentially guess what this compound will be like. But there's no easy fix there. You need years and years of practice. If you want a good chemistry book, the core of, I guess, my organic chemistry knowledge is Claydon, who used to teach me in Manchester. The Claydon book is about fucking that big. It's huge. You could kill someone with it. Costs a fortune, but that has like pretty much the basic organic reactions that you can go through, and it tells you a little bit about the properties. But really, I don't know. I think you have to really sit down and really read for years before you get like a kind of a good understanding. What a terrible Q&A. I am sorry, internet. But yeah, hopefully I haven't alienated all you guys with my terrible questions. And I have 30 seconds before my camera's going to fail. So I'm going to end this. So I just want to say thank you so much, Patreon people, for supporting me. Susan, good old Susan, doesn't like my stuff, but I love making it, and I think it's important to make, and you guys really give me the kick up the arse to do it, and you make sure that I make sure that it is good content, because there's nothing worse than producing stuff that's shit and getting people pissed off. So I make sure, because of you guys, that my stuff is as good as I can have it to be. I'm talking rubbish. Right, I've got 10 seconds. So take care, you lovely, beautiful, awesome Patreon people, and I'll see you when I see you next. Bye there.